We have a major report. Knicks homegrown six-man Miles McBride's value is skyrocketing. According to reports, Deuce has high value around the league, especially because of his contract. If the Knicks are going to make another major move, teams are absolutely going to ask for Deuce McBride in that trade. We're going to break down all of these latest reports today. If you're enjoying the content, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and have notifications on too. The easiest way to support the channel is to hit that subscribe button. Shout out to the current subscribers, and I appreciate each and every one of you for making this the home for where you get your Knicks news. And now, let's get started. Miles McBride's trade value is skyrocketing. Deuce McBride is putting together a career year. He looks more comfortable and more confident with the ball in his hands. His defense is still phenomenal, and his play looks very good. Even though his shooting numbers aren't that great, his shot has improved, and the volume of shots has increased for Deuce McBride. New York has needed him this season, especially with Brunson out with that ankle injury, and he has delivered. His play has been so phenomenal that many teams around the league see Deuce McBride as a key piece. Shout out to NBA insider Michael Scotto for giving us the following updates about Miles McBride and his current trade value, and also New York's possible trade plans. He gave us this following update when he was a guest on Ian Begley's show, The Putback. According to Michael Scotto, he states, Miles McBride has a lot of value around the league. His contract is team-friendly at this point, given his production. You almost have to put him in addition to another salary, like a Mitchell Robinson, if you're going to make an upgrade, because he doesn't make enough money to just get somebody as a standalone, one-for-one kind of trade to match salaries, which for the most part around the league, you're going to need to do to make a trade. But big picture, I understand that Miles McBride has value, and I can certainly see why the Knicks would look at potentially doing something with Mitchell Robinson, depending on how the offseason goes. Deuce certainly has value, and it's only going to increase as he shows what he can do. Now, the reason this conversation came up at all is because Michael Scotto and Ian Begley were discussing the Knicks' future trade plans, potentially if the Knicks will add a future third star to this team. And here's what Michael Scotto had to say about that situation. I should mention, even though it's probably obvious at this point, that Michael Scotto is talking about this upcoming offseason regarding the moves the Knicks could potentially make. Shout out to Scotto for continuing to give us the following information here. According to him, I always think big picture. And when I think of the Knicks, I think of them just getting Karl Towns. You got Jalen Brunson. Is there a third star out there that will emerge during the summer, depending on how the playoffs go and a team underperforms? That they really try to push more chips in to go even further all in. They've always consolidated chips, broadened the horizons a little bit. Can you do that? Make a trade with even eventually Mikal Bridges. The Knicks are going to have to figure it out. You're going to have to extend this guy or not as well. So that's something I'm keeping in the back of my mind. That's something I'm going to be keeping tabs on. And if the Knicks make a trade for a third star or a very good player, it's likely any team would ask for Deuce as part of that deal. Now, I dropped a video recently where James Dolan stated that it's likely the core players are going to be part of this team for many, many seasons together. Those core players for me are Mikal Bridges, Karl-Anthony Towns, Jalen Brunson, and OG Anunoby. Everybody else, in my opinion, is not a core player. That means Mitchell Robinson, Deuce McBride, a couple of these other rookies we have on the bench. If the right player becomes available, the Knicks may not hesitate to pull the trigger and make a trade to improve this team and help our roster moving forward. Because we have to remember, some of these trades may not be called major trades. Maybe they're very good trades. Maybe the Knicks are still fleecing teams, but it's still not a major trade. It all depends on the pieces the Knicks are giving up and what player the Knicks are getting back. I know Michael Scotto is saying another star here, but given James Dolan and what he said about this team, New York is not going to make a major trade happen. So if the star player in your mind is Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, or Giannis, that trade is not happening. The Knicks are not going to make that move. But if I can get another star player or a very good player, and the only players I have to give up are non-core pieces, I can see the Knicks pulling the trigger and executing this deal. Because remember, it's about helping this team get better now and for the future. Deuce McBride and Mitchell Robinson may not be core pieces, but the Knicks covet them and want them as part of this team. They understand their impact. They're not just going to go out there and trade them for just any player. If they trade those two guys, they're going to need a significant piece back. And I don't think the Knicks are ever going to be able to get a significant player back for the package of Deuce McBride, Mitchell Robinson, and a few second-round picks. Not even if you include a first-round pick. That's because Mitchell Robinson's value, at least right now, is on the floor. He hasn't played in a while. He's dealing with a number of injuries, still on a minutes restriction. And even though he's impressed a lot of people in the Knicks organization with his play as of late, he's still on a minutes restriction. We have no idea how he's going to perform after he breaks that minutes restriction and he starts to play normal minutes again. That's what everybody's waiting for, especially fans and a lot of people within the Knicks organization. However, Michael Scotto did mention he's not ruling out the Knicks potentially moving on from Mitchell Robinson come this offseason. But again, they're not looking for that move. A move like that is only going to happen if they see a player that they like available and it's not going to cost them any of their core pieces. But this player has to be a significant piece. If the Knicks get this type of player, it needs to change their future for the better. Because right now, Deuce McBride and Mitchell Robinson, the Knicks value them as players that can change their future if they're healthy, available, and develop the right way, build the right chemistry with this team. But going back to Deuce McBride, is it a shock to me that he has this level of trade value around the league? It's not. Honestly, given the contract and his level of play, I'm not surprised that he has this value, and I'm not going to be surprised if the Knicks do not trade him and they hold on to him. Because right now, Deuce is really your bench. And if you get rid of Deuce, who's going to come in to fill that role? I can't think of anybody off the top of my head. And I don't think the Knicks believe in any rookie that much to let them take the reins next season. I think Deuce McBride is going to stay a part of this team for a very long time. The only way that changes is if a player that the Knicks really want, really love, really covet, have maybe always wanted for years, that player becomes available and his trade value matches what the Knicks are willing to give up for that player. If all of that happens, which is a lot of ifs and maybes, then the Knicks will execute a deal. But if not, this roster you see right now, this is the main team right here. Deuce McBride may have very high trade value across the league right now, but that doesn't mean the Knicks are going to execute a trade involving him. Not unless a player they really want becomes available. And looking at the landscape of the NBA, I can't see that player becoming available this offseason. That means the moves the Knicks are going to be making are very small and minimal at best. The roster we have right now is basically the final roster we're going to have for the next few seasons. So we all better hope and pray that the chemistry gets right and we all mesh together the right way. Because if that happens, we already have the talent on this team to be considered a championship contender. Once we start acting like it and playing like it, the league better watch out. Because the defense I see in my head with the offense we're capable of, it is enough to take down any team in the NBA. I know it, you know it, and now the Knicks just need to put it all together. But what about you guys? What do you think about NBA insider Michael Scotto revealing that Deuce McBride has a lot of value around the league, specifically because his contract is team-friendly given his production at this point in time. Let me know how you feel about that in the comment section below, guys, because honestly, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below. And of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans, take care of yourself, your families, and each other. Peace and love.